And our guests on this segment, Nathan Sweaney of BSides, Oklahoma, Carrie Randolph, Chief Information Officer for the State Department of Education, also of BSides. In fact, they're co-organizers, and it's good to have both of you here.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Now, before you folks go kicking and screaming to another room, let me explain. We're going to be talking about computers, and you need what I'm about to give you through these kind folk. What is BSides, Oklahoma?
Yeah, so BSides Oklahoma is a security conference. It's we like to call it a hacker conference. It's an opportunity for information security professionals, for students, for interested people around the state to come together and learn about hacking, learn about security, learn about the good, the bad, different techniques. Really, our goal is just to provide education to folks that maybe can't afford it otherwise.
And one other aspect is a lot of the big name IT conferences are very formal in nature. We try to keep BSides focused on a community level, so that way people can come network, come learn and grow in an open environment.
About all I can tell you about my computer is this turns it on, and this is the mouse. Simple things.
Sure.
I'm not familiar with hacking attempts, although I see it all the time on my iPhone. I'm assuming that happens just as much or more with the computer. Am I correct?
Absolutely. You know, the computer is a tool. Con artists, scam artists, they've been around for thousands of years. Today, they're using this tool because it works. Tomorrow, they'll use whatever technology provides. Our goal through our professional jobs and then also through our volunteer work is to try to help the good guys so that we kind of have an edge against the bad guys.
And something, an analogy that might help a little bit for people that aren't as familiar with security is think about football. You have a defensive team and you have an offensive team.
You're talking about state flower. You know that.
Right?
She's good with analogies.
So my mom's a preschool teacher, so I have a little bit of experience in trying to, click here and break down that IT jargon. So football, you got an offensive team, you have a defensive team. And IT will refer to that a lot as like red team, blue team, where your red team is your offensive team and your blue is your defensive. So in football, your defensive team, they've got to be on point every single play, trying to stop that quarterback and that receiver from getting to the end zone. The red team, or the quarterback and the receiver, they just got to get lucky once. They got to get it right once. So when you have a bad actor that's acting against maybe your personal computer or your organization, they have to get it right once. But your team that's defending you, they have to be on point every day of the week. And we try to cater our conference to both of those teams.
So if folk are able to attend this conference, do they walk away with a working knowledge of perhaps how to better protect themselves or how to combat the problem if it should materialize?
Some of both. We actually have a wide range of talks for information security professionals that are focused on defensive. Hey, my job is to protect the organization. We have a lot of talks that are focused on here's how to be a better attacker. And you might say, wait, why are we teaching people how to be an attacker? My job as a consultant is to go in and break into companies' networks and help them find the problems. You might have heard the term penetration tester or ethical hacker. We help people find those problems and simulate a bad actor so that the companies can better protect themselves. To Carrie's analogy, it's the red and blue team working together. You might think like the JV team has to do the best they can to pump up the varsity during practice, so on game day they really perform. For our conference, we try to provide as much of that education as well-rounded as we can.
And there's so much more to it than just identifying hackers. Now, bear with me just for a moment. I came across an article after I found out you guys were going to be here that was, I believe, in the New York Times, talking about how some hackers are so well organized that they keep files on folk where they can get into their computers. They can get in and they back out. And they'll start to build a file on what they find. Bank records, family and friends, etc. And they find out, is this a grandparent? Fine. Is there a grandchild away at college? Fine. First thing you know, that person gets a call. We've arrested and you need to pay so much to get that person out of jail. it just happens they were on a trip. They did go there, and the grandparent goes berserk and sends their life savings.
Yep.
And just the other day, we heard the story on Network News about a family that gave away their entire savings over a fraudulent Social Security claim. Mm-hmm. I mean, they must lay awake nights dreaming of people like me that they can hack.
That's exactly right. That happened to my grandfather when my grandmother passed away. There were public records about her death. Mm-hmm. Somebody called him and said, "Hey, we have this big investment. There's this thing. You have to get on in this right now." And they socially engineer people. They learn the stressors, and they use human psychology to take advantage of people. There's a lot of bad people in the world, and like you said, they lay awake at night thinking of ideas, and they've made a business out of it. It's really become commoditized to some degree.
And we're not talking about 3 or 4 guys in Hoboken.
Oh no.
We're talking about organizations that you're going up against. Am I right on that?
There are some groups of organized hackers, yes.
Yeah. Have you come across any who have crossed from the dark side over that are willing to help?
That's an interesting discussion. There are companies out there that advertise, we have this hacker got arrested, whatever, did this, and now he's a good guy and he's helping out. I'm always skeptical of that. When someone has decided that they're willing to cross that ethical boundary for some reason, and then later change their mind because it's good for them, it makes me suspicious. I'm not saying that you can't give somebody a second chance, but I always wonder about that a little bit.
Well, let me throw this at you. What's the biggest single threat facing anyone on a computer?
I would say it boils down to simple education and realizing when it comes to security to just always be precautious, to think before you click. Like you may have heard the term with social media, you get a like clickbait. Like, oh, there's this
you get what?
A term called clickbait. Where an article is like, hey, where do these celebrity kids? What are these celebrity kids doing now?
Yeah.
Or what's this quiz? What Disney character would you be? Or little silly things on the internet.
It's a fishing term, right? Your bait that you use to get a fish to grab hold. That's what when you're scrolling through Facebook, the producers of those, the editors of those articles are creating titles to make you grab hold. Yeah. So bad guys use the same techniques.
The single biggest thing that I would communicate to just standard users would be think before you click. Is this something, or even on your phone, maybe you download an application and it says, hey, this app needs access to your microphone and your camera or your location. Is that really something that application needs? Maybe it's a weather application. Okay, that makes sense that the weather application would want access to my location 24/7. But why would that application need access to my microphone? So I would say just think before you click. Same concept goes and authenticate, or trust but verify is a really good phrase. So you get that phone call that says, your grandchild is in jail. What can you do? I need you to send money to bail them out. If they're in jail, you need to ask where they're at. Think about it logically. Don't let them press that sense of urgency. The sense of urgency is what they're trying to do to get you to act quick and get you to give them your bank account number over the phone or some type of credential over the phone.
I have a neighbor who's Hispanic who discovered one day, quite by accident, that the commercials playing on her television all of a sudden were in Spanish. How did that happen? She had one of those things like a Siri sitting there. I won't say it's that one, but something similar to it, who heard when her children came home from school, they conversed in Spanish.
That's most likely a coincidence. There's probably something else that caused that to happen. Either something gave her the option to switch it, or maybe one of her kids switched it. And then because that device is there, there's some positive reinforcement. It's unlikely. It's really easy when circumstances happen that we can't explain. We tend to lean towards what seems like the most obvious.
Okay.
And sometimes life isn't obvious.
I got about 30 seconds.
Sure.
Okay.
When and where is the conference?
So our conference is on April 10th. It's on a Friday. Doors will open about 8 a.m. The conference will start at 9. It'll go to about 5 p.m. And we're really excited this year. We didn't talk about it, but Mark Singleton, who is I'm sorry, Matt Singleton, the
Chief Information Security Officer for the state of Oklahoma will
Thank
be
you.
our keynote speaker. And then we'll also be doing a state government panel as Q&A on how our state government operates, how we plan to do different innovative ideas.
Quick question, 15 seconds. Will attendees be able to ask questions?
Yes,
absolutely. We encourage communication and back and forth.
Where is it?
at the Glenpool Conference Center just south of Tulsa. And you can go to BSidesOK.com for all of our information for sponsorship, training, and
Don't
the
be
event.
surprised if you see me.
Okay.
I thank you
Look
both.
forward to it. Thank you.
Very grateful for you coming by.
Thank you, sir.
Therapy dogs. That's right. They provide more than companionship, and you'll meet 2 or 3 of them, actually 3, when we come back.